Master, in the Kitagarbha Sutra, it is said that 100 acts of filial piety do not amount to one act of revering the Buddha. Yet my family insists that not visiting the ancestral graves is unfilial. What exactly is going on? A young lay practitioner, holding a sutra, stands in front of the main hall of the Zen temple, furrowing his brows with eyes full of confusion. This question expresses the heartfelt sentiments of countless practitioners of Buddhism. In traditional Chinese culture, filial piety is the foremost of all virtues. But for Buddhists, what is the true essence of filial piety? Is it really, as worldly perspectives hold, that one must visit ancestral graves and offer incense on time to be considered filial? Is there truly an irreconcilable conflict between faith and tradition? The answer to this question may lie hidden within the enlightened teachings of a venerable monk, and this particular discourse will fundamentally transform your understanding of filial piety. This is a true story that took place in the 1970s. Guangqin, a young lay practitioner from Amei Township, Hsinchu, Taiwan, entered the temple gate with a worried expression. He had recently taken refuge in the Buddhist teachings and was filled with devotion to the Dharma, but this caused considerable conflict with the elders in his family, especially during the recently passed Qingming festival. Because he chose to attend the Dharma assembly at the temple, he was unable to return home in time to sweep the tomb, which caused a family dispute. The elders angrily reproached him, saying that ever since he began studying Buddhism, he had neglected even the most fundamental filial duties. Young people nowadays truly do not understand what is fundamental. These words deeply pierced the young lay practitioner's heart. He found himself in a dilemma. On one hand, he understood the elder generation's emphasis on traditional customs, while on the other, he deeply recognized the supreme nature of the Dharma and was unwilling to forego the opportunity for practice. This inner conflict caused him restless nights and days, even leading him to doubt whether his decision to enter the Buddhist path was the right one. One early morning, the gentle sunlight bathed the stone steps of the temple, where the Venerable Guangqin was basking in the sun. Although this venerable and revered old monk is advanced in years, his spirit remains vigorous, and his gaze reveals a transcendent wisdom beyond the mundane world. The young lay practitioner, robust and vigorous, immediately stepped forward swiftly and respectfully offered prostrations. Then, he mustered the courage to confess all his confusion and troubles in detail. "Master, what should I do? Is it truly necessary to let go of everything on the day of Qingming festival? Only by returning home to tend to ancestral graves can one truly fulfill filial piety. If that's the case, isn't it very difficult for us Buddhists to achieve a perfect balance?" The young layperson's voice trembled slightly. Venerable Guangqin, after listening, gently closed his eyes and sank into deep contemplation. Sunlight danced upon his weathered face, reflecting a scene of tranquility. After a moment, the old monk opened his eyes, his gaze as clear as still water. "Child, let me ask you a question." The old monk calmly said, "Why do you think not visiting the ancestral graves is unfilial?" The young lay practitioner was momentarily taken aback. This seemingly simple question left him speechless and faltering. After a moment, he replied, "Isn't this our tradition? Our ancestors have done it this way for generations. Do you know why we do this?" The old monk continued to ask. "This is an expression of respect and remembrance for our ancestors, expressing our attitude of not forgetting our roots," the young lay follower replied. The old monk nodded, a flicker of approval passing through his eyes. "Very good. Now, think again. If a person is normally unfilial to their parents, neglecting and even disrespecting them, failing to care for them properly, but then makes a grand show of sweeping the tombs during the Qingming festival, appearing very filial, is this genuine filial piety?" The young lay practitioner shakes their head without hesitation and replies, "Of course not. This is merely a hypocritical performance meant to deceive others." Then, the old monk's voice became even more gentle. "If a person is usually very filial to their parents, always considering their needs and caring for their daily life. But occasionally, due to special reasons, such as attending a Dharma assembly, they cannot visit the ancestral graves on time. Can we say that this person is filial or not? The young lay practitioner fell into deep contemplation. Indeed, filial piety does not seem to be measured solely by whether one visits the ancestral graves on time. But upon reconsideration, he still harbored some doubts. Honored one, I understand your meaning, but the elders say that no matter how things usually are, the proper rites and etiquette must always be observed. This is a form of respect for the ancestors. Venerable Master Guangqin smiled gently, his smile imbued with unfathomable wisdom. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy merchant who spent most of his time engaged in business outside. Every Qingming festival, he would hire others to tend his parents' graves while he was busy making money. He would prepare abundant offerings during the ritual ceremonies. However, while his parents were alive, he rarely sent money home. There was also a poor scholar studying away from home. During the Qingming festival, he could not return home due to insufficient travel expenses, but he diligently studied every day with the hope of bringing honor to his family and allowing his parents to enjoy a peaceful and happy old age. Every night, he would bow his head and pray facing the north, the direction where his parents reside, hoping for their safety and health. You ask, which of the two is more filial? The young layperson replies without hesitation, of course, the poor scholar is more filial. Why? The old monk inquired further, because although he had not completed the ritual of tomb sweeping, his mind was constantly thinking of his parents, and he was diligently working for their future well-being. In contrast, although the wealthy merchant outwardly observed all the proper rites, inwardly he lacked the genuine sincerity to honor and respect his parents. The venerable old monk nodded with satisfaction. You have already understood some truths. Conduct will never be as important as the heart's intent. But when it came to true filial piety, the old monk's voice suddenly halted, as if awaiting the arrival of an important moment. The young warrior felt an inexplicable sense of anticipation. Summoning his courage, he earnestly asked again, Master, please enlighten me. Is it truly unfilial not to visit the graves? As a Buddhist, how should we understand genuine filial piety? Elder Guangqin gazed deeply at this sincere young man, a profound light flickering in his eyes. He said slowly, Child, what you are asking is not about tomb sweeping. You are inquiring about the true meaning of filial piety. The old monk's voice suddenly became exceptionally solemn. The heavens possess the virtue of revering life, and the earth holds the law of karmic rebirth. Our life spans more than a single lifetime, and our parents extend beyond what is seen in the present moment. If a person truly wishes to fulfill filial piety, the most important moment is right then, when suddenly, from afar, a melodious chime of a bell resounds, interrupting the old monk's words. Soon, the bell gradually ceased, and the venerable Elder Guangqin smiled kindly. This bell toll came at just the right moment. It reminded us to maintain a mindful and awakened heart at all times. Regarding the Qingming festival, my suggestion is that you can first go to the temple to participate in the morning chanting, recite sutras, and pay homage to the Buddha, dedicating the merit to your parents. If time permits, you may also visit the graves. But most importantly, you must remember that the true essence of filial piety lies in honoring the living, not in rituals for the deceased, or abiding in rebirth. The young lay follower asked with confusion. The old monk explained that Wang refers to the external forms, such as visiting graves, burning incense, and prostrating, while Zhu refers to the internal cultivation, which is your state of mind or intention. If your mind abides peacefully in the true Dharma, you are continuously accumulating merit at every moment. This merit will naturally protect your parents, whether they are in this world or in another realm. Conversely, if one only values external forms without a pure heart, what meaning is there in visiting the tomb every day? The old monk's words were like sweet dew, gently nourishing the thirsty heart of the young lay practitioner. He continued teaching that during the Buddha's lifetime, his disciple Mahakayana was deeply distressed upon witnessing his mother falling into a bad path. Even though Mahakayana possessed supernatural powers, he was unable to directly save his mother. Ultimately, it was through the collective strength of the monastic community, relying on the merits of the Tathagata's Padalaka, that the mother was liberated. This teaches us that saving and benefiting our parents does not lie in a momentary offering, but in the continuous accumulation of merit and the awakening of wisdom. In the Kitagarbha Sutra, there is a passage that states, "If there are good men and good women who plant various good roots in the Buddha Dharma, even as numerous as the hairs on their bodies or grains of dust, the blessings they receive are beyond description." This illustrates that the merits attained through practice in the Buddha Dharma far surpass any virtuous deeds in the secular world. When you dedicate these merits to your parents, the benefits are greater than any form of worldly offering or ritual. The young lay practitioner listened intently, but still harbored a slight doubt in his heart. "Master, does this mean we can completely stop visiting and cleaning the graves? Will my family understand even less?" The Venerable Master Guangqin smiled and shook his head, saying that Buddhism does not teach people to escape responsibility, but rather teaches them to fulfill their responsibilities with greater wisdom. There is nothing wrong with tomb sweeping itself. What is mistaken is the attachment to the form while neglecting the mind. If conditions permit, you certainly may participate in the family's ancestral rites. More importantly, you need to help your family understand that your study of Buddhism is not unfilial, but rather a more exalted way of fulfilling filial piety. Every day, when reciting sutras and prostrating during meditation, you should make a vow, dedicating the merit to all sentient beings throughout the Dharma realm, especially to your parents from countless past lives. This filial piety transcends time and space, allowing the dedication to truly benefit the Dharma bodies of your parents. In the Upasaka Precepts Sutra, it is said that the merit gained from offering to all sick people is not as great as the lesser share of the merit gained from offering to one's parents. This illustrates that filial piety is indeed very important. But what is even more crucial is to understand that true filial piety is not merely about providing material support, but about helping parents awaken wisdom and eliminate afflictions. If you can diligently cultivate your practice, lead by example, and inspire your parents to learn Buddhism and pursue goodness, this is true filial piety. The young layman's eyes gleamed with understanding upon hearing this. The old monk's guidance not only answered his immediate doubts, but also illuminated a spiritual path for practicing filial piety. Venerable Elder Guangqin further explained that Buddhism does not deny the filial piety of the secular world, but rather elevates filial piety to a higher realm. Filial piety in the worldly sense can only fulfill the present needs of one's parents, while transcendental filial piety can help parents attain eternal liberation. Think about it. If through your practice, you can not only bring peace and happiness to your parents in this life, but also help them attain liberation in the next life, ultimately achieving eternal bliss, isn't that a greater expression of filial piety? The young lay practitioner suddenly understood and said, "Master, I see now. Practicing Buddhism is not neglecting filial duty. Rather, it is fulfilling it in a more noble and profound way." Exactly so, the old monk nodded with satisfaction. You must understand that Buddhism emphasizes the gratitude towards one's teacher, parents, all sentient beings, the ruler, and the triple gem. Our practice is to repay these 5 profound debts of gratitude, and the best way to repay them is through our own cultivation, helping all sentient beings to be free from suffering and attain happiness. This is true great filial piety. In the Sutra on the Inexpressible Gratitude of Parents, it is said, "Among all beings in the world, the most difficult to repay with gratitude is the profound and deep kindness of one's parents." The deep gratitude owed to parents is profound, If the child has not yet attained liberation, they should first seek to liberate their parents. This passage teaches us that the highest expression of filial piety is to assist one's parents in attaining liberation. Visiting ancestral graves is merely a worldly custom, whereas helping one's parents attain enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of birth and death constitutes true filial piety transcending the secular realm. When you regard your parents as all sentient beings within the Dharma realm, your filial piety will become more expansive. It is like a drop of water merging into the ocean. It not only does not lose its nature, but instead gains the vastness of the sea. After listening to the old monk's discourse, the young lay practitioner felt a great relief, his doubts completely dispelled. He finally understood that true filial piety lies not in formality, but in the sincerity of the heart. This transcendent view of filial piety not only preserves the essence of traditional Chinese culture, but also integrates the wisdom of the Dharma, manifesting a higher spiritual realm. The Venerable Elder Guangqin, seeing the young lay practitioner beginning to gain insight, said with comfort, "Remember, filial piety is not something accomplished in a day or two, but a lifelong practice. You should base your actions on filial piety, guided by the Dharma, gradually expanding your compassion from honoring your parents to caring for all sentient beings. This is true, great filial piety in the Dharma." Let me tell you another story. The old monk's gaze became profound and far-reaching. In ancient times, there was a practitioner whose parents did not believe in the Dharma and often prevented him from studying Buddhism. This practitioner did not argue with his parents, but demonstrated the benefits of the Dharma through his own actions. He rises early and stays up late every day, diligently handling all household chores for his parents, and always treats others with humility and courtesy. Gradually, his parents were moved by his actions and began to develop an interest in the Dharma. Later, not only did his parents stop opposing his study of Buddhism, but they also took refuge in the Buddha's path together with him. The entire family practiced together and ultimately attained enlightenment collectively. This practitioner has not only fulfilled the filial duties within the worldly realm, but has also actualized the transcendental great filial piety, truly repaying the fourfold kindness above and alleviating the sufferings of the three lower realms below. The young lay practitioner listened intently, and a sense of Sruvingan naturally arose in his heart. He understood that he not only needed to fulfill filial duties in the conventional worldly sense, but also, through his own practice, guide his parents toward the path of enlightenment. This is true filial piety. The Venerable Elder Monk Guangqin smiled and said, "Child, when you return home, you can explain to your family that visiting graves during the Qingming festival is about honoring tradition, while reciting sutras and dedicating merits goes beyond tradition. The two are not contradictory, but rather complement each other. If circumstances permit, doing both is the best option. If one must choose, then one should choose the option that is most beneficial to one's parents. True filial piety is the wish for one's parents to receive the greatest benefit. From the perspective of Dharma, the greatest benefit is not material satisfaction, but the liberation of the mind. When you are able to help your parents transcend birth and death through practice and attain ultimate liberation, that is true filial piety." The venerable old monk finally said a dedication. With a single thought of loving kindness permeating the Dharma realm, filial piety and peaceful affection are none other than Bodhi. The servant regards filial conduct as true devotion, awakening to the profound grace and the promise of repayment. This ritual hymn serves like a bright lamp, illuminating the confusion in the young lay practitioner's heart. He respectfully prostrated to the old monk and said, "Master, I understand. From now on, I will cultivate with true filial piety, not only honoring my virtuous parents, but also ensuring I do not become a burden to them. I will strive to convey the wisdom of the Dharma to my family, so that they too can understand this higher form of filial piety." Venerable Master Guangqin nodded kindly. "Well said. Excellent. Remember, filial piety is the foundation of traditional Chinese culture and also the basis of Buddhist practice. The two not only do not contradict each other, but can also mutually enhance one another. Only by truly understanding this point can your cultivation become more complete. The young lay disciple departed from Guangqin Shan Temple with this resolve. After returning home, he communicated with his family sincerely, explaining to them Buddhism's unique understanding of filial piety. Although his family found it difficult to fully accept at first, seeing the transformation after his practice, becoming gentler, more patient, and more filial, their attitude gradually softened. A few years later, influenced by this lay practitioner, his parents also began to engage with the Dharma. Gradually, they came to understand their son's original choice and experience the inner peace and wisdom brought about by the Dharma. A family not only lives harmoniously on the secular level, but also shares a common spiritual aspiration. This true story spread widely, touching the hearts of countless people struggling between faith and tradition. They understand from this that filial piety and the Dharma are not oppositional, but can be integrated and mutually enhanced. When we illuminate the true essence of filial piety with the light of wisdom, we come to understand that genuine filial devotion lies not in outward appearances, but in the mindful awareness within the heart. This supreme illumination can transcend birth and death, benefiting one's parents and all sentient beings. This passage by Venerable Guangqin not only points the way for a young lay practitioner, but also offers each of us a new perspective on reflecting upon filial piety. In this era, where tradition intertwines with modernity, we need to re-examine the essence of filial piety, unifying its form and substance, so as to truly inherit and carry forward the traditional virtues of the Chinese nation, while achieving the elevation of individual spiritual cultivation. True filial piety is not merely guarding the ancestors' graves while neglecting the needs of the living, nor is it solely fulfilling the material needs of the living while ignoring the liberation of the mind. True filial piety is rooted in wisdom and compassion. It both honors tradition and transcends it, helping all sentient beings connected to us to attain awakening and liberation. This is truly the great path of filial piety taught by the Dharma. In the journey of life, each of us faces the choice between tradition and faith. The wisdom of Venerable Master Guangqin teaches us that it is not necessary to adhere to an either-or approach. Rather, unity can be realized on a higher level. When we understand the true essence of filial piety, we also understand the true essence of life. This understanding will illuminate the path ahead, allowing us to attain fulfillment in both family relationships and spiritual practice.